and today we're at Union Station in St. Louis.
Yes, the Lou, Sonia. I'm so excited to be here, where I spent several days in the hot summertime here in St. Louis with family.
Absolutely, and there's so much connection between Brownsville and St. Louis.
That's right, yeah, music. Yeah, music, yeah. Tina Turner. Oh my God.
Went from Nutbush to St.
Yes,
Louis.
yes.
Yeah.
So I think we should go and spend some time with a travel writer that we know,
Bill Clevlen, who
Yeah.
has written the ultimate American music bucket list.
That's right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Y'all come on.
I am a travel writer. My name is Bill Clevlen, Bill on the Road, and I do a website as well as I do TV and radio, speaking events, all based around domestic travel. So try to get people to take road trips across the country, and try to get people to, instead of just going from point A to point B, stop along the way, see interesting things, but really experience America. So I've written 5 books, and I barely graduated high school. So for those of you kids watching with bad grades, you too can make something of yourself. My first one was called 100 Things to Do in America Before You Die. Kind of a morbid topic, but it's actually fun. It's all bucket list items. Everything from going to the Grand Canyon to going to Mount Rushmore. The cool thing about that particular book is it's all experiences. So instead of just naming, I mentioned, Mount Rushmore. Instead of just going to Mount Rushmore, you go and you have Thomas Jefferson's ice cream. Because Thomas Jefferson was the first person in the United States to write down a recipe for ice cream. And they served that recipe at Mount Rushmore. So that whole book is all those little interesting experiences to have at places. Then I did a book called Driving Across America, which were just some little fun short stories, just fun stories from my travels. Wrote one called Finding the American Dream, which was all about people in the US who came from nothing and ended up making something of themselves, with the caveat being that there has to be either a museum or a historic spot dedicated to them. So whether it's Mark Twain, or whether it's Henry Ford, or Berry Gordy of Motown, whatever, that's a really fun book, because you go and you see these people who came from nothing and made something of themselves and found the American dream. So that's a fun book. I wrote a children's book during the pandemic. It's a road trip book for kids. And then the newest one is called The Ultimate American Music Bucket List, which is all the great music sites all over the United States, everything from statues to record labels and recording studios, grave sites, murals, anything you could think of that has to do with American music, places you can visit. So it's amazing actually how much musical history comes out of Tennessee. So if you're in the eastern part where you have, Bristol, where you've got the birthplace of country music, or, on the other side of the Tennessee where you're in, Memphis, where you got Sun Studio and where Elvis got started. It's amazing how much musical history is scattered throughout the state. I have loved doing all of the, Memphis. I've done Sun Studio, and of course you go to Graceland and Stax Records and all this stuff. And then of course you've got the Tina Turner tie-in. Or I have mentioned it, and at least I think I mentioned it in 2 of my books. I've talked about it before on radio. And then, so my hometown of St. Louis has got some Tina Turner connections as well. And so she went to high school in the St. Louis area for part of at least her education, and performed in some clubs in St. Louis area. The Missouri History Museum has a exhibit called St. Louis Sound, where they feature actually some of the, it was really cool. I just saw it for the first time today, and they have one of the old marquee signs from one of the clubs where she would perform, which I thought was really neat. But yeah, that area, it's really cool how many places have been preserved. One thing I think that's great about music history in America, and we're not really great about this for everything, but for whatever reason, maybe because people just love music, so many of these sites have been saved. Stax Records is pretty neat. When I took the tour of that site, and went through, it was not a day, it was closed, and somebody that worked there gave me a great little tour, but it was really interesting to learn that at the peak their popularity was right in the middle when there was so much racial strife, and to learn that once people were in the recording studio, whether the artists they were white or they were black, nobody cared. They were there to make music, and to hear the stories about how they were able to just forget everything that was going on outside, and on the inside that those guys were all like brothers and sisters, and they made great music. And I just thought, what a cool story for that particular point in time. And I love that part of the Stax history. I still like Graceland. You know, some people think it's hokey to go. I think it's cool. I to think of a guy that now he's been dead. I don't know how long Elvis has been dead. He makes more money now dead than he did when he was alive. And he's done a great job with the museums that are over there. Yeah, I remember the first time I went into Sun Studio, and I was stunned how small it was. And I didn't know anything I didn't know much, about it. This is before I certainly hadn't thought about writing a music book the first time I went to Sun Records or Sun Studio. Super small. Nothing's been updated. I joke like in the presentation, because I looked up at the ceiling and I'm like, okay, these tiles could fall on my head at any time. Like, not, they're just. But it's the beauty of it, and to think that artists now are still recording in there, I think is pretty cool. But yeah, when you stand there and you hear Elvis or any of those guys from those old recordings, and they play it for you, and you're standing in front of a microphone they could have used standing on the spot where they could have been singing, and to hear those sounds, it is, I've taken the tour probably 3 times now. Goosebumps every single time. But yeah, Tennessee is just so lucky that they have so many, and all your tourism science, everything is music related, which it should be, So, yeah, I always send people to Tennessee to check out music sites. I am very thankful that this book is in a lot of the places that I featured in the book. One of them being the Tina Turner Museum there, and so yes, I hope people come and pick up a copy. And we want people to travel. We want people to go out and see all of the places that are featured in the book. But when you're visiting the Tina Turner Museum, you can grab your copy and figure out where you're going to go next.
Well, Sonia, what do you think?
It was really interesting to talk to Bill, to hear his take on the music scene, the travel, the connection.
That's right, to West Tennessee especially.
Yeah.
There's so much musical heritage right in our front yard and our backyard. How about
and
that?
all around.
That's it.
Just like the observation wheel at Union Station.
I know. I'm kind of ready to take a ride, maybe, or a lift. What do you think?
Let's get a lift.
This has been a wonderful road trip for us.
It has been. Maybe we'll do more road trips.
I think so. This was a quick one.
It was.
All right. I miss home.
Let's go back home then. As soon as we do the wheel.
All right. And until then.
Bye, y'all.